Well, hello there again. This is Carl. And look what I brought with me to this webinar today. No one else than Andreas.
Hi.
Welcome, Andreas.
Thank you.
As you knew, we had this the last time with Oscar, and then we decided let's go with another one instead. So that's why. But Andreas, I'm sure that the audience is a little bit curious about who you are, what you're doing here in NodeGraph, and what you've done in the past. And let's settle for like the last 5 years.
Okay. Well, I've basically been in the Qlik, how do you say, the Qlik solution industry for like 10 years.
10 years? Oh,
Yeah.
That's more than 5.
That's more than 5.
Yeah, cool.
Mainly working as a consultant. For the last year, I've been working at NodeGraph as a developer in the development team.
Awesome. We're really excited to have you here. And we have been, what is it? When you started here in January, right?
January.
Yeah. So now in August, you become a famous YouTuber here in NodeGraph.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this webinar will cover our famous data quality manager, which is in the topic and in the scope of testing. Since we have Andreas here with us, and that he has been a consultant and that he is a developer, which means that he has more knowledge and can go a little bit deeper into the capabilities instead of I should have done that. So this will be a little bit more technical than the past webinars, which has been more discussion focused and so on. And we will cover our data quality manager. Which is a pillar in our platform bundle. To just start off, I mean, testing is about validating elements in your BI solution, and why you should be doing this is to ensure higher data quality. That's why the top helicopter perspective of testing. Also, I mean, when talking about testing, we also encounter the topic of debugging. And if I just ask you to have like a short, brief explanation, what's the difference between testing and debugging?
Well, basically, testing is being one step ahead.
Yeah.
And debugging is more like a reaction when you find some error or something.
Cool, yeah. So it's about more to be proactive and to constantly ensure yourself and everyone in your BI landscape that things are up and running and they are performing as they should do.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Then I've learned something today as well. Cool. Well, I mean, there are so many types of testing, and as we have mentioned in our previous webinars, NodeGraph's data quality manager is about to have like a test-driven approach to your Qlik development. And just to see what types of tests that you can perform with the NodeGraph, you can do application testing and to test data processes and output. You can also do ETL testing, test your entire ETL flow and validate all the steps throughout all your computing when you're develop this. And also you can do something that is regression testing, which is basically the idea with the regression testing is that you know the past and you constantly test against the past to make sure that the future or present is correct and up and running. Am I correct there?
Yes.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's really good. Just look into the types more of what you can really do in not perhaps a technical abbreviation, but in technical terms. What can you do with NodeGraph?
Well, basically, you can divide it into 3 different steps. First, we test the input, and then the logic, and finally the output.
Cool. So this means that if I'm reading you correctly, we can test the entire flow from database to what it's actually saying throughout in the applications in the objects.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds amazing. So I've seen this, but I'm very interested to see if we could share this to the audience, what we're actually doing and how it looks like. And the stage is yours. I should try to keep quiet now.
Thank you, Carl. Finally.
Yeah, finally.
Sorry. So basically what you see here is the the dashboard of the NodeGraph version 3.0.
Yeah.
And if you have the data quality manager in your license, you will have this one enabled. So let's get into the data quality manager.
Yeah.
So here you can have, you divide your testing into the highest level, which is projects. And within each project, you have different tests.
Yeah.
And you can also make baseline tests. So that's basically the menu here on the left. So I've prepared some testing, some basic testing here to show how you could actually test a complete ETL flow. So the project we're going to look at for this demo is the sales ETL here.
Cool.
Once we have selected the project, we go to tests.
Yeah.
So here you just add test cases. And each test case is like a container. So what you see here is the first test case, which tests the extract layer. Then we have a transform layer, presentation layer. And then we have some basic values we can test. And also we're going to look at the baseline tests.
Cool. So this is, a way to test the ETL flow.
Exactly.
Am I correct? Awesome.
Yeah. So if we start by looking at the extract test here, we have added a particular QVD here. But if we go on to add a new one, we can see what kind of types we can add. So we can make these kinds of tests on QVDs, QVWs, Qlik, basic files like CSVs or XMLs, XML files for instance. We have sense applications, database connections, and these asserts are kind of logic testing. And then we also have the sense baseline test.
Cool.
So we're going to look into the details of some of these features. And we're going to look at this invoice QVD here as a first example.
Yeah.
In order to test this QVD, we add test items, which you do here in the menu. So you add, a test task on this test item. Once you add this, you select what kind of task type you want to test. For instance, you can see if the QVD exists, if it has been deleted, if it's updated, and if it's been updated in a certain time interval.
Yeah.
You can see that it contains specific fields, how large it is, and you can also make calculations on any of the fields within the file.
Yeah.
So basically here we have 3 different tasks. First, we check that the QVD exists.
Yeah.
And then we want to see that it has been reloaded within the last 4 hours. So here you can edit with some value that will fit your solution. And also you can make this field aggregation, which could actually take any field within that file and make some calculation and see that it's that the value seems reasonable.
Yeah.
So here, for instance, we should know that the field freight should have at least 35 rows in it. But this is just a very simple example. It can of course be much more complex. So that's the extract, the very basic extract test.
Yeah.
And here we can also just try to test run it, and we'll see that
it says failed.
It says failed.
Yeah.
And it failed since one of the tasks on that item failed.
Yeah, cool. And what will happen if you get a failed test? I mean, this is super good, but is there any way to get notified on this?
Very good question, Carl. Of course it is.
Leading question, perhaps. Yeah, sorry for that one.
On the project, you could actually enable notifications. So either if you have a Slack channel,
cool,
or if you have a specific email address to some specific contact person, you can just save that, and once there is an error in one of the tests, they will get notified. Yeah,
because it's the proactive approach. If something fails, when and if something fails, or if and when something fails, you should get notified. So if you have this automatic or automated approach, which it is when it constantly performs these tests, you should not feel that you need to monitor them in NodeGraph because you get notified, right?
Exactly.
Awesome, cool.
Yeah. So in this ETL flow, perhaps we don't need to check on every detail specifically.
Yeah.
The transform layer is pretty much the same kind of logic as you have in the extract layer.
Yeah, because why should you test both the extract and the transform layer?
Well, since you often you have different logic in these different steps and different files, so it's always good to check each step in the process to be sure that it's correct from the beginning. And if you do find some error, you know exactly where it is.
Yeah, because you can have like a tested pass in your extracted data, but then if you change something in the logic in your transform data, in the business logic or what else, this means that if you're only monitoring the extracted data or the database value, you can still have wrong numbers or KPIs in your dashboard.
Yeah.
Have I understood you correctly though?
You understand
That's
everything
awesome.
correctly.
Fantastic. Yeah. I'm a quick learner.
Yeah. Maybe we should just have a quick look at the presentation layer. Here we could have, for instance, like a Qlik view file, QVW.
Yeah.
And what if you take edit here? You see that we have QVW as the type and the path to that QVW.
Yeah.
First of all, we want to double check that it exists, that no one has actually removed the file. And then we have, similar as on the QVDs, we want to be sure that the data is up to date. We have a test for when it was reloaded last time. But it might also be interesting to add some other tasks. Perhaps we could add, we want to see that a certain field exists. Then NodeGraph will prompt you with the different tables existing in that app. So in sales, for instance, we want the ship date to be valid. We press the save. And now it says not run. But once we run this test item, it will say that it passed.
Because it exists, the field exists. Yeah.
So if some developer should drop that field, then we know that, okay, something has changed that shouldn't be changed, and we will get a notification.
That's cool.
Yep.
And also in terms of scheduling to this, this is also a leading question, of course, but is there any way of doing this on a schedule?
Yeah. Once you create the test case, you will get the schedule on it.
Yeah.
And here you can edit the schedule, so you could perhaps have it run each day or each week or each month, depending on what kind of data or what kind of application you are testing.
Yeah.
And then you could just say, okay, I know that the Qlik solution reloads at 5 a.m. for instance, then perhaps 7 a.m. is a good starting time for this one. And here you can also override to be more specific on notifications than on the general project settings.
Yeah, so if someone is like a product owner or like a solution owner for the freight applications or sales or any application, you can notify them directly so they can be proactive and tell the business users we have found something in the application right now, we are working on it, so there might be some errors in the numbers. Being proactive and also ensuring a higher sense of data quality and reduce the confidence gap we have spoken about in so many webinars before. Cool.
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome. I mean, this seems like there is a lot different types of things that you can do here. Do you have like anything on the, so to say, framework that we promote? Should you test everything in your entire solution, or should you? Or how should you work, and what have we encountered so far? So far is the best case of working, so to say.
Very good question. Well, I guess the easiest way to see if something is wrong is to actually look at the output. So we have the baseline test. Baseline test is basically, it's only available for Sense because we use the metadata from the Sense APIs.
Oh.
So maybe we could just go into that section and have a look at it in practice. So here we have a sales app, for instance.
Yeah.
And just to make this a more demo friendly, we could perhaps take another app. So license monitor, perhaps.
Cool.
Save. Then we go to model. Here we can update the model, which will actually load in the entire data model into NodeGraph to see that, okay, this is what we start with. Once we have updated the data model, we create the baseline. So NodeGraph knows, okay, this is the state today. So here you see that we have all these different sheets and all these different objects. So here we can actually see that, okay, this is the application today. And if anyone changes anything, it will not be the same. And this baseline test will actually fail. So we create this baseline.
Running.
And it doesn't seem my progress bar is working in this development. Okay, baseline created.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
It works.
It works.
That's always good.
Yeah, and now we also see that we haven't run any tests here.
Yeah.
So if we click this button, we can actually run a test.
Cool. So now it's looking into setting the standard. This is the baseline for this application.
Exactly. And here we see that the object state it checks for exists. So this kind of test actually says, okay, have you changed anything in the graphical layout? Okay, so everything passed. And say that we, for instance, don't want to monitor log details, it's possible to disable like a certain sheet or something. Okay, so that's the baseline tests. And here you can also make some selections. If you want to make some certain baseline test depending on like the numbers for a current year or something.
Yeah.
We're not going into those details today,
No.
but at least this is a baseline test. And also in the test section, if we go back, we have these baseline tests. So we can make these tests scheduled and get notifications similar as a regular test.
Sounds awesome. But this is, I mean, there is a lot, both more things you can do and you can really dig into, I mean, like do this super deep on a very, very complicated way. But I hope that you at least get a sense of what's possible to do and also how this could be like used as a new way in your governance data, governed data projects throughout there. And I mean, we have instances and customers that do this automatically in some instance instead of having like a Q&A function that's constantly doing this. I mean, if we can automate certain processes, that's both a time saver and it also allows for the one of the points here which I'm coming to right now is the scalability as well. I mean, that you can do more with the same or less manpower, having like an automated tool to do this. Also, what we would say is that, I mean, to do this is all about currency, making sure the data is up to date, because that's most important when looking into BI solutions. Or what would you say if you remember your days as a consultant? I mean, what's the biggest objection if something is in your BI solution? Why should you even use it?
Yeah, well, basically, it's hard for the end user sometimes to trust the data. And also on that topic, we actually have an extension that we didn't really discuss earlier.
Awesome! Even more stuff. That's really cool.
Just to make the
it's
end
almost
user
like I
feel
forgot
more
that we have an
convenient.
extension. Yeah, cool.
So basically, this is the extension. It's only 4 cents. And it's basically a way for NodeGraph to tell the end user that this data has been tested and it's validated.
Cool.
So this sheet is not very exciting, but it's the extension down here that is the main focus here. So the red dot here means that, okay, we have a test, but it has failed.
Okay.
And then you can just maximize it, and then you will see the details about this specific app from NodeGraph. So you can see the different data connections, you can see what kinds of tests we have made and the status and when we last made that test, and also when the NodeGraph data has been updated and so on. So it's one way for the end user to feel more safe with the data.
Perfect. So this is the Sense extension is actually an extension to our 3.0, the new version that we released earlier this year. And it's also, I mean, hopefully we will see a lot of NodeGraph logos on the applications. I mean, this is a way of just, as we mentioned again, as we have spoken about so many times, reduce the confidence gap between the one who are producing the data and the one who is actually using the data. And that's why, I mean, the higher reason, so to say, why you should have a test-driven approach is to free resources on the debugging part, because that's a reactive thing, and more work towards the proactive approach and make sure that the data is tested. There are also some, I mean, we have together in the team, we have produced, according to my opinion at least, a very, very good series of white papers available in our resources. And I will make sure it will be available in, I don't know if it's above or below. It's below. I should have learned that by now. But it's below, so it's a link directly to there if you want to dig in more. And I mean, do you have anything more to show, or?
I think this was pretty much it for this first demo of the
first
scratching the surface of the data quality management.
Scratching the surface as well for being a YouTuber. Yeah. Awesome. And I mean,
first and last time.
No, not last. Hopefully not last. This was really good, I believe. But I mean, if you're even more interested and if you want to talk directly to Andreas or directly to me, don't hesitate to contact any one of us. Either by our webpage, we have various ways to contact us there. I mean, Qlik community, we have uploaded quite a big library for the Qlik community as well. So shoot questions there as much as you want to. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Andreas.
Thank you.
And I will bring you back next time instead of Oscar, I promise. So have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.